I see, like in the first space there. Good morning, everybody. It's we got the what do we call ourselves? We got to be like a funny like trio name. That we got to come
The
up
Three
with.
Amigos.
Three Amigos.
You don't want to say the cool kids like in our chat, in our group chat?
No. That's the the original
cool.
Juice Box crew.
The original Juice Box crew. I like that.
The Juice Box crew.
Like that.
The Capri Suns.
I love Juice Boxes. They're awesome, man.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, they are.
They're one of the best things.
Did you guys ever, when you were kids? Now, Ryan, maybe not you, but Jeff, when you were a kid, did you ever have those sip sacks from like the 7-Eleven, where it's just like literally a bag and it has juice in it and it comes with a straw and you had to pierce it? And
no, I don't remember. That was in the 80s,
those were the best.
Wasn't that in the 80s? I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, it was early 80s, but it was we had a park that we always went to.
I was drinking beers out of one of those pouches. I wasn't
family show.
I guess so. I'm kind of the bridge gapper here. So there was these things called sip sacks, and it was just like literally, it looked almost like a Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
With juice in it, and it was like sugar juice. It was like pure diabetes in a sack, and you'd have a straw, and one end of the straw was flat, and the other end had a spike on it, and you'd have to spike the sip sack in order to get the juice out. And it was like, you're sitting there, and the thing's moving, and finally you just grab the end and you rip the end off and you drink it. But that was like, we had a corner store right at the basketball court that all of us used to play basketball at, and we'd go in with our allowance and just literally give it to the store clerk. And he'd put sip sacks in a milk crate and put it in one section of the fridge for us as kids. And we just go in there and grab it. It was the best thing ever, man. Sip sacks, I gotta look them up. Because everybody's probably going, what the hell? This guy's drinking out of a Ziploc bag?
But that being said,
like pop or something?
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
No, we got to.
Well, all right.
All right.
Get that started. I want to say good morning to our number one fan, Lisa, back in the number one spot. Has she been number one this whole week? I've kind of been not really paying attention too much, but like, is she?
I think she was. I think there was one day that someone else beat her. I forgot the person's name, but she's always on top. I mean,
yeah, because I know she's been on vacation with her and Chad. Once again, happy anniversary, guys.
She was in Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii. It's awesome. It's awesome to think about. So, Dan, I know you want to kind of switch it up today. What are we doing today?
Yeah, so I started in preparation for our meeting with Jeb Blunt. For all of you that don't know, we're going to have Jeb Blunt on the show in December, who's CEO of Sales Gravy and has written, probably 20 books on sales now. Amazing man, genius when it comes to selling. Started going through his new book called Selling in a Crisis. And what an amazing book, because it actually hits you dead square in the forehead. And he talks about things like, when the tide goes out, it'll expose the naked. And when in a bull market, anyone can sell. But when times get tough, it's when the real salespeople shine. And it's when the industry, any industry in sales, kind of thins the herd, if you will. So in thinking of that, I thought, you know what, if we switch up wins and lessons, maybe just today, and start talking about what worked at the beginning of the year that we don't find works now. What do we think is going to work next year? Because I love predicting, and good, bad, sometimes we're on, sometimes we're not. But I think as salespeople, the evolution of how we sell is a big part of our success. And I'll give you a perfect example. At the beginning of the year, 1, 2, 3 email before a phone call was working great, because it would like warm up the prospect a bit to the name. Now it's almost 3 phone calls before you send an email that works better. And it's so it's crazy. When COVID first hit, I found out how to do video messaging on LinkedIn, and 68% of the people I would connect with, I would book meetings with. Like, those are insane numbers. Now, not even close. So as we kind of move through this life and career, the idea of designing the career you love comes with kind of saying, okay, what are the staples that don't move? right? Obviously, the negotiation, the closing, the getting to know, the listening, the understanding the needs, and does your service or product even serve those needs? Qualifying is still obviously number one in any book, because you don't want to chase tire kickers all day long and waste your time. But what do you guys see in what you do? Because even though we're all in sales, the three of us are at very different levels in sales.
Yeah.
And we focus on different things, right? So I think it'd be really cool to kind of share with everybody, and then maybe everybody could share with us what worked for them at the beginning of the year and now doesn't.
Yeah, cool.
Interesting. I mean, it's something. And I probably should have said something to you guys before the show, because it's kind of like
Ryan and I love ad hoc, so have at it, man. Let's just do it.
All right, so go. When do you go? What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Ryan. I got to really think about this. I really,
of course. So going into the year, I think my expectations for the year from last year, Dan, you and I know that we kind of worked on something and then it completely flopped, right? So from that on, I learned my biggest lesson that don't waste time with people like that, and don't expect those kind of things. Unless you're kind of controlling your own destiny. And that's why I kind of bet on myself, like Fred VanVleet from the Toronto Raptors always does, is like he just bets on himself, right? And he just doesn't waste time with anybody else kind of doing things for him. The one thing, coming back to the prospecting thing, I see video. Video is actually my main, it's actually my main thing that I close videos with. I close meetings with. I think what I've learned, and it's different for maybe like two of you guys, so that's what I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys say. But for video, and I said this on another podcast earlier in the week, that I prefer that a video looks very edited and looks very nice rather than the actual message itself. And when I say that, there's often, I will not look at like a podcast or anything like that looks like a Zoom call. It just doesn't entice me. I'm a visual person. I need to kind of see like nice captions. I'm a TikTok user. I'm an Instagram user. So I've taken the habit of making nice videos for when I send to the customer, either whether it's being using Loom, having their website in the background, making it very personalized. The one thing, Dan, that I've learned is I've been using Lavender AI since June, and that's been the biggest game changer for me. What Lavender is that it's an email assistant, essentially what it does. And you can write an email. It'll tell you what grade level you're doing it at. It tells you how long it takes you to write that email, what the clear and concise. And what's worked for me is I've scrapped copy and paste. I've scrapped every single thing that I've done with a quote unquote script. And my emails, it's awesome because they show 4 lines. And what I love about Lavender, and this is not an ad, by the way, it's just I just use this, but it shows what it looks like on a mobile. So you can click the cell phone and it actually shows what your email will look like on the cell phone. So I think for me, going from, like you said, the beginning of the year, the sequences, hey, every 48 hours a call is here or an email is here or anything like that. I think what's worked for me is honestly just kind of going with the flow. Like I've followed my customers on LinkedIn. I've hit that bell notification. So anytime they post, I see it, and just being relevant to it, right? And just not, hey, like it or thumbs up or anything like that. Actually bring some value to them. And I know value is a overused word in our industry, but we can all do it. And the one thing I've really think that it's worked is that at the beginning of the year before, I just used to connect with logistics managers, and that's it, because that's the person I want to talk to. What's changed for me is actually connecting with people in the company. So like customer service managers or like people in like finance or anything like that. Anybody that has to do with the company itself, because I want those people to be like, hey, have you seen this guy Ryan's stuff on LinkedIn or social media? Like maybe you should do it. And then they'll ring a bell. Like, I remember getting that email or getting that call from Ryan. Maybe we'll put 2 and 2 together. So those are the things that work for me for this year. And I'm always fine tuning, right? So those are definitely the big ones for me, guys.
Beauty. Good one, buddy.
Yeah. From the beginning of the year, I was definitely wrong. When I was calling for, the wave, the tsunami's gonna hit in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, I was dead wrong there. But it just seemed that way. Unlike you guys make a tremendous amount of calls. And Ryan, you talk about wasted time, but what is wasted time, and how do you measure that? Because what you may think is wasted time might be a learning point for you by putting that energy into what you're working on and finding a result or solution to where you need to go. So I wouldn't really necessarily call that a waste of time when you're working on something and it doesn't come to fruition. It was meaningful at the time. You put that work into it. It didn't come out, move on. But I don't consider that a waste of time because you wouldn't have found that out unless you tried it, right? So the same thing with sales. You have your way, like I said, reaching out to your customers. I don't make that many phone calls because what I like to do is that I like to work with a customer and then use that customer for other leads to open other doors within their space, because I find it the easiest. To me, I don't find that as being a waste of time or a lost leader because you're already doing business with that company. So whom else would be a better reference or referral to open up another door that they're currently doing business with, who can put the good name in? So it's like they do the introduction, they open up the door. I'm doing business with X. You should use him or her, etc. So I try to hone in that and expose as much as I can, and then knock it out of the park. This way, my focus is direct, and I've been doing that all year, slow, methodically, just doing that in the engagement side. I don't use those tools that you use, that you mentioned, Ryan, as well. I try to create my emails from the heart. That's real. If it has a little bit of grammatic errors in it, that's okay. It's just coming from the real side of me and my value and what I add. And I tried to speak that way. So yeah, next year, more of that. This year, for me anyway, it's teetering off. It's really coming down. But I know I'm not the only one that's being affected with this soft market right now, because it is. It's
Yeah.
very soft. Will it pick up next year? I predict that it will pick up, but I think it's going to be gradual as more inventory starts opening up, because they're not getting flooded with that inventory that's coming in at this time of year. They're creating more space. There'll be more highly discounted products out there in the industry to make that space. I think they're going to bounce back really really well. Just from what I'm seeing and what I'm reading. Hey, I could be wrong, but the indicators are pointing that way. Definitely going to do more face to face and flying around the country and going to events and meeting my customers face to face. Loved what I did a few weeks back. It worked a lot. I'm working on a lot of projects. I have a lot of partners. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. At least that's my feeling. I could be dead wrong, but I got a very good feeling about it.
It's awesome. One of the comments that Jeb made in his book was, he said, in a bull market, all salespeople are good because there's business everywhere. It's in a soft market that the real salespeople start to shine. And for me, beginning of the year, it was all video. All my messages were on video. The podcast was a big lead generation. A lot of my content that I just put online was massive lead generation. I had a lot of people contacting me. It's interesting because since I got cancer and I stopped because I just couldn't,
Right.
I just couldn't take people's money knowing that I wouldn't be there to help support them, right? Like, even though I have online courses, I've got 2 days a week that I was doing live training as part of my online courses. So I literally shut down the sale of my online courses while I was going through radiation and all that, because I knew I couldn't do the 2 weeks. And I'm starting the 2 a week back in January. But in all fairness to customers, I just couldn't do it. So it's like I literally just turned the tap off in my business. And I've lost touch in the 6 months with, no, I shouldn't say that I've lost touch. I feel like I've lost touch. Kind of like when you don't do a sales call for 6 months, you get that jitter kind of going back into it. So I feel like I've lost touch on that part of it. I understand sales and I know I'll jump back into it, but it's now for me, it's having another conversation with people saying, okay, so now that we are in a soft market, what's the biggest thing that you're looking to help your sales team with? As opposed to before, it was, listen, this is the program that can help your team do $1 million in GP. In a soft market, you got to have some seriously dedicated people to do the $1 million.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it, because people's customers are going to wind off. They're going to feel they can slow down. They're going to try and no, listen, I've been here for years and and then they're going to lose these customers. Like, we all know how this market turns, right? Customers are going to look for more cost-effective solutions. If you're a salesperson that doesn't believe in, cutting costs in order to make a sale, you might lose some customers. I know I was that salesperson because I believed the margins and what I do was worth what I got paid. But looking at customers' margins, customers that produce plastic, not big margins. And
Yeah.
so it's for me, I think it's going to be a very tough adaptation for a lot of salespeople. I think a lot of salespeople are going to start disliking their jobs. I think a lot of salespeople are going to revert to working 10, 12 hours a day instead of, you know what I mean? Like you got to remember though, in sales, we have 6 to 8 golden hours. That's it. Where you can actually talk to people.
Yeah.
6 to 8, right? Like it's during the business day. And the idea is, what can you do after that can help improve, but you utilize those golden hours to the best of their ability. And so that for me is the next phase, is for me to really start dipping into some markets and saying, okay, what is exactly going on here with people? And I'm obviously going to start with my customers, get a really good idea as to what they need, and then develop my sales process, a new sales process around what they need. Because nowadays, more than ever, it's not, here's what we do. It's, hey, you have this problem too, and here's how we can help solve it possibly. Do you have time for a conversation?
And that's so perfect. Like, I love that you said that, and especially golden hours, especially with Jeff Blunt. If anybody who's read Fanatical Prospecting, he talks about the golden hours.
Another great
You
one.
have those golden hours to prospect and things like that. But something Jeff said that I kind of want to go back to, that I'm seeing personally as well. Jeff, you mentioned that you're seeing that there's going to be like everything heavily discounted and things like that. In Canada, on Tuesday, Walmart and all the other companies, they've actually released like their early Black Friday deals. So everything's being discounted right now. So as of right now, a Keurig or an espresso or something like that, that's normally like 150, $200. You can go pick up one for $100 right now in store. So we're seeing those guys kind of like get rid of those things. And, with the pandemic, we've kind of learned home offices, those desks and chairs. And somebody, I think it was on this podcast or I saw it online, where no, desks and chairs, they're still on the rise. It's different things, different verticals.
It
So
was Dean.
yeah, it was Dean. Yeah, Dean kind of mentioned that, saying that, the different chairs and things like that. And, for me, even for seeing like the retailers, it really makes me think too. Dan, you kind of mentioned like, as we're kind of going to the end of the year, like, what do we got? We got 2 weeks until Thanksgiving and Black Friday in the States. And I've already seen like holiday out of office messages, so customers are going to start winding down. If they haven't started preparing for next year, they already have. So, this is not the time to get freight for now. This is the time to kind of plan for really next year and being a goal set, because people I've talked to in their thing is that their budget is blown for the year. Like, they've completely blown their budget. So they're not looking to add somebody right now, onboard somebody right now. They're looking for next year. A lot of people saying, reach out Q1, Q2. We'll see what our new budget looks like and kind of go from there.
Oh yeah. That's
I've also said at this time of the year, it's one of the best times, if you have hot prospects, to give them a call and say, and now check this, because obviously, again, I feel like I'm disconnected, but I have a feeling a lot of people that are forward thinkers are still going to be thinking like this. Call them up and say, listen, I know we've talked for a long time. I'm not looking to see if we can get business now, but what is it you're looking for 2023?
Mhm.
And if I were to spend the next 6 weeks working out a program for you, can we get like top priority at the beginning of the year to sit down and go over this? And then get the details, because they'll have the data, because they've already, everybody's done their reporting by now, and they're looking and they're going, holy shit, like our freight is this far out of whack. And take the next 6 weeks. And what I've always found when I did this is mid-November till the end of December. If I'm sending an email saying, hey, by the way, line 45, there's this many volume, is that what you're looking at? I always get a reply.
Yeah.
It's when you try to sell at this time of year where everybody's in, because think about it, right? You're about to go into Thanksgiving and you're about to go on pretty much holiday mode. Are you really going to bring somebody in that can screw up and then now all of a sudden consume more time in your day? But
Yeah.
if somebody's willing to help you down the line and just needs a little bit of information, it takes you 2 seconds, you'll always be willing to do it. So you can actually create a real dynamic relationship with your prospect by helping them for 2023 and saying, like, I know you're, as of this point, it's like Thanksgiving, Christmas, holidays, da da da. You're winding down. I'm not interested in asking you to let me in because if I screw up, I'm going to really put some more time back on your plate. But why don't I look at this for the next 6 weeks and see if my brain can percolate something that might really help you achieve XYZ goals for 2023. And I've always found that shippers were like, yeah, okay. I mean, if you're willing to do it, here's the data. And now you can, it's not okay, January 1st comes out, here's the data. By January 7th, we need this. By January 12th, you know what I mean? You actually precede the bid, if you will, because you got the data and you can actually give a massive presentation when you have 6 weeks preparation, right?
Ooh, damage that you have. And the one thing too, Dan, Jeff has talked about it as well, is that some shipping managers are moving, they're moving places. Negotiations are happening for them to start somewhere Jan 1st. So, as Jeff's old friend used to check obituaries, don't do that, but check like Indeed, those job search websites. Look for people who are looking for that title that you go after, and have those discussions like, hey, why are you hiring for this role? What are you trying to accomplish with the new person who kind of comes in for 2023?
That's actually a really good idea. Because what if you can become their logistics division and they won't even need to hire that person?
There we go.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Become that 4PL,
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Now one of the
even,
biggest parts of that
should I
sell
say
is
a 5PL,
100,000 salary.
a
You don't need to pay
5PL.
anymore.
Yeah. A
Mhm.
5PL,
Mhm.
is when you basically take on the transportation management part of their business, the whole
Mhm.
bit of caboodle, but if you're a small guy, you really have to pre-plan. You have to know
Yeah.
that industry inside and out, all the logistics functions. I mean, it's not something that you can just, I'm in there, I'll start doing it tomorrow. You got a lot of work to do that. Then you have to start prepping your office yourself, getting the right people in the right positions in order to support their needs. And how do you support their needs? By finding out what their needs are and digging into that and dig deep. I mean, don't stay at the surface, man. Get down in those weeds, get down to the core and expose everything that you need to find out in that operation, because the less you know, the more problems you're going to have. So you want to try to have those congruent relationships with those customers and expose the things that they don't know exist. And that takes time.
And
Takes
that's
a
Mhm.
lot
and
of
Jeff, we always kind of talk about niches, right? And that's why when you operate in your niche, right, you could say, "Hey, we face this problem with another customer in your vertical. What are your thoughts on this?" Right? And that's so smart that I've always loved that you talk about, Jeff, is that you're able to kind of be an expert and not get the seat, the geek squad over
well,
there. So
usually
maybe
the
we should be
geeks
talking to
are
you
going to
about your
blow up my
operations.
freaking computer
Yeah.
fucking thing. I'm telling you.
I want to shout out something that I actually saw with Drew kind of mentioning here. Plan for rough waters when it's calm. And anybody who doesn't follow Drew on LinkedIn, he's an amazing follow. Tons of
Good
years.
guy.
I've had amazing
Drew is a
conversations
good
with
guy.
him. He's a great guy, and I'll talk to you offline because actually one of his customers that we talked about, they were on Dragon's Den, the Canadian version of Shark Tank last night. So it was kind of cool to kind of have those conversations with Drew before and now that they're on Shark Tank. So kind of just want to bring that up.
Cool deal. Yeah.
Drew's
So
business is about to blow up.
yeah, you got to dig deep in those operations. That's where actually a lot of business blooms from, when you're able to do that. It's like I've always said to myself, and I know you'll probably disagree, but would you rather make 1,000 calls and have 100 customers, or expose the clients that you have and get 10 more out of one phone call to work on? Just think about all that extra time that you have if you play your cards right where you can focus in and grow that business rather than spending so much time on making those phone calls every single day. That's just my philosophy and the way that I go about it, whether it's right or wrong or indifferent. I'm sure
There's
it
no
is.
right or wrong. We all have different recipes, just like Chris was
Yeah.
talking yesterday. We all have our own soup, right? So
Oh,
whatever's going to
absolutely.
work for us is going to be different.
And there's really only two ways for customers. There's top of funnel prospecting, or
Right.
there's our own customers sending people to us for referrals.
Mhm.
Like when you think about it, there's two ways that we get customers.
Right.
And if you're going internally and your mission and your focus is saying, okay, customer A, I'm doing X amount with, and I want to expand that by 15% because I know they got more volume. That's an amazing thing to do because you're already in. And then if you look at it and you say, okay, so it's like an internal customer expansion or an external customer kind of, digging for them. And when you do that, or you do a reference letter referral or whatever the case may be, it's a great way to do it. I mean, hence the reason I think when we all first got in this industry, it was like every shipper you go to, put them in your database because then you can call a shipper because then you can use this customer you ship to in order to say, hey, I just shipped there from ABC company. Can I talk to you about your freight? You know what I mean? Like that was the whole process is name in. Yes. Okay. They did great. They delivered. Okay. Now what about you? Do you want to get in on the pony ride here or what? Right. It's just sales 101.
Yep. Yep.
Can I ask
Absolutely.
you guys a question? How in the hell do you do this mustache and beard thing? This is so itchy, and like I'm not even close to Ryan's Navy SEAL beard, but
Well,
it, oh my god.
it does
So
take it does
I'll be
take
talking maybe like the younger man's thing here, but I shampoo, I condition, I oil, make this glorious beard. So I do take care of myself in terms of that. So I think you need to kind of get some shampoo in there every time you wash your hair and everything like that. Get some shampoo. I actually got like beard wash that I use and a special oil that I use, so it doesn't get itchy. So take care of your beard, and I'll take care of you.
Welcome to
Okay.
the
All right.
men's
I guess.
grooming session.
There
Yeah,
you go.
exactly. Exactly. Ryan, I noticed you got a little gray going on right here, though.
Oh, I've been having gray,
What's with
man.
Oh,
that?
wait,
I've been in
wait,
logistics.
just
Oh
wait.
yeah,
Give me
yeah, yeah. Here we
a
go.
few more years in logistics, man. That's gonna bloom rather well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
luckily, but
it does take time. My wife hates beard on me. I used to have a huge white beard, look like Santa Claus and everything. So I
just a
said,
year.
I'll do the Fu Manchu. And then she says, why don't you change it up and do like a trident? So that's what I did. I did the trident on both sides here, So I'm gonna
That's why I
make
love the
that.
Hulk Hogan.
I wanna make like a little swing down here, tie it into a little bow down here. Be different. Who
All right.
cares?
Okay.
Sorry that
You
I
sure?
brought that off the rails real quick
Yeah.
there, Ryan.
Hey, you
Hey,
brought
so
it
look
up.
at
Come on now.
okay. Scott says it here. I feel you, Dan. I'm on day 11 as a man I'm from Japanese descent, not Ryan's standard. I hear you. I hear you. It's my kids were laughing at me last night because I was never able to grow facial hair. And then all of a sudden I go through chemo and radiation, and now I've got more facial hair in probably the last 2 weeks that I haven't shaven than I ever have in my life.
It's
And
so funny.
it's like it's when usually it's reversed, right? You like lose everything, but
Yeah.
all here is like a baby skin, and then all of a sudden it's just here. And I'm glad that it actually is starting to come in on this side because
I feel like you're gonna have to like revamp all your like training videos and stuff to like the new you. So
yeah,
it's like, you know what? People are gonna look and be like, who the hell is this guy? He's dropped like 30
yeah.
pounds.
Who's
He's got
that
a beard
baby?
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
and
No,
then
I
what you
plan I
need to
plan
do
on
is you'll
gaining
have
back
to
the 30 pounds, Ryan. Let's just
Okay.
face that.
yeah,
I
you'll
am
have to
looking
borrow
forward
Scott's
to the
yeah, you'll
yeah.
have to
I'm looking
borrow
forward to the all bacon diet. It's gonna be good. I can't wait.
you'll have to borrow Scott Watanabe's Oriental hat, man. I think it will fit really good on you.
Let's stay away from racism on our show. No, I'm just joking. We're gonna get canceled. Cancel culture.
There's no racism. What are you kidding me?
No, I'm just joking, guys.
I love all people, man, but Scott's got the hat, boys. I'll tell you what, he definitely
Joking
does.
hats. But uh, Jeff, I know you were on some podcasts this week. Give us some details on that, man, because I love Jet Dan. I love it when you do it as well. Like when we're able to kind of go and just talk with new people, and have those conversations. Like it's awesome. I was on Gunnar Miller's show. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday, and it was
Yeah, I
awesome
saw
just
that.
to kind of hear different perspectives. So Jeff, let us know, man. Like what happened yesterday, because I know
Yeah,
you're
it
very
was
excited about it.
well, it was a taping. We covered many different subjects. I actually wore a shirt and a jacket. I can't believe that I do that.
Who is this
Yeah,
guy?
I know. And
Yeah.
went over a few things, and we talked about women in trucking. which I support greatly. I went off the chain on that a little bit. Spoke about because it is a trucking show, and I wanted to expose the issues that truck drivers have had uh, for the last decades. It's not something that just happened. All the disrespect that they get, people who take them for granted. Really, they don't appreciate the things that they have on the table. I mean, we look at it as logistics and supply chain professionals, but we're also the consumers who are able to love and enjoy the things that these truckers put on our desk, and what we wear and what we drive and all of that kind of stuff. So we talked a little bit about that as well, and that we really need to start supporting them and doing the right things, because without them, we wouldn't be in this industry, guys. And you know that. I mean, I'm not preaching to the choir, but 99.9% of what we do all depends on those drivers out there. I mean, let's face it. But it was a good show. It's going to be out next week. I'm probably going to get a copy of the YouTube cut today. I'll share it with you. But yeah, it was very enjoyable. Dean was on that show, and Butch, the MC there, said that he wants to have me and Dean back. He thought it would be a great pairing there, and I think so too. I think it would be an awesome show. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I enjoyed it very, very much. It's all Dan's fault, man. I mean, he got me on this podcast, and then look at this, man. Freaking, I'm like an animal now every day, and I enjoy this, man. It's a lot of fun.
I told you you would. It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun, and I love helping people. It's sharing knowledge. That's what we try to do, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. It gives people an opinion, a choice, an option, and however they want to take it and use it. As long as they use something from it, we're doing the right job, guys. We really are, and that's why we do this every morning. So I love it, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, Jeff, you bring up, sharing knowledge and different things, and I think that's the next part because we gotta get back to the DAT lane of the day.
Let's go.
Okay, today's lane of the day is going to be flatbed out of Seattle, Washington, going to Twin Falls, Idaho. We're looking at line haul at $2.94 a mile. With fuel, we're looking at $3.76 a mile. Contract is looking at $4.47 a mile. Year over year, spot line haul RPM change has been minus 8 cents. The comments is that there's a recent jump on this as capacity is tight in both markets. Rates have been on a steady decline since March for this lane, and the current rate is 40 cents higher than the October average. And gents, I remember when Dean was on the last episode, he was saying Seattle, 99 cents a mile to drive in to go to Chicago. So to hear that it's tight now, it's those trees, man. Those Christmas trees.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
and it's all flatbed.
That's what I said not long ago. This is the season. I don't know, to be jolly. No.
Depends on if you need a flatbed for something other than trees. I don't know if you need jolly, But
that's it.
But again, if you're doing flatbeds out of there for something other than trees, let's call a spade a spade. You should know when trees are coming out, and
Bingo.
You should prepare. Mm-hmm.
So should definitely do that. And Drew brings up a great point. We're talking about the whole prospecting thing was that, he agrees with you, in terms of working your customers inside out. I also believe that your starting point in the industry, those 1,000 calls and 100 clients are important. Only 10 might stay with you, but lots of learning in those 1,000 calls, if you know what I mean. And I think that's what's important. I think for me, guys, what I've really liked when I worked a corporate job, the actual managers, they had to actually make calls with the front line. I think they had to do 10 hours every month. They never made calls. This was kind of like a customer service front line. And I think for me personally, I think it's important to always kind of get in the groove of it, find out what's going on, because there's a lot of resources. Jeff, you send amazing content on your LinkedIn about what's kind of going on with like drayage and all that stuff. But it's kind of cool to hear with different markets and things like that. So
definitely. Something. And this brings up a great point. Whether it's logistics and working in a distribution center or on the sales side, right? A good leader and manager is going to jump in the trenches with his troops, no matter which way you look at it, right? You mentioned that a sales manager has to do 10 hours of calling a month or a week, whatever it may be, I think they should do more to find out what their sales team goes up against every single day. And instead of directing and saying, you got to make 1,000 calls, you got to do this, a good leader would be doing exactly what they are doing it and do it even better to lead by example and to show them the right path to stay on. It's those who sit back in their office and going, hey, Jim did 900. He was supposed to do 1,000. Stacy did 500. She was supposed to do 7. Doesn't work, guys. It just doesn't work that way. If you're going to do it, you do it. You do it just as good or better than your troops in there. And then you'll see.
Well, there's another side to that too, Jeff. If you don't, you lose track of and you lose touch with what's going on. And there's nothing worse than a salesperson having to report to a manager that knows less than them about the industry and less than them about what's happening in the industry at today's level and today's day and time. And you know what?
That's the biggest takeaway right there. Boom.
It's the biggest one. I mean, I've lived it. I've lived great sales managers that knew what they were doing. I had a sales manager come in from a perfume industry. And I remember all of us standing there going, perfume? Are you fucking kidding me? Good. What the hell does he know about trucking? In a month, the guy was like, he just dove right in. And another sales manager that had been in trucking for 10 years, we'll go out and say this. And it's like, that hasn't worked in like 5 years. What are you talking about? Like, it's crazy.
I love that you said that, Dan, because it's so true. Like, like I've had to have before, not even in this industry, they just didn't know what they were doing and they get caught up. I don't know if you guys can agree with this, but they get caught up on like the glory days, back in my day, we get a handshake and we go play golf and that's how we close deals. So it's like, well, we do video now. We do emails now. We do different things now, and it's successful for everybody. So you gotta be a student in the game, like you always talk about, Dan. Like we got Jeb coming on next month. You're being a student by listening to his book. You're gonna have some talking points for him. You're not just gonna have him on and be like, so what do you want to talk about? So it's important. And Jeff, you're a big fan of that. Always being a student in the game too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you learn every day, man. You have to.
You have to.
And then even if you say if I don't know what to learn today, then call an audible on some part of your sales process and try and make it better, and then learn from that. Level up your skill. Like if this is your career, why not design it to be what you want it to be? Yeah. If it's just a job and it's a stepping stone, sorry, but get the fuck out and let other people that it's going to be their career step in. Because really, go get a stepping stone somewhere else.
No, I don't. I'm not saying I agree with the job because at the end of the day, like there's a lot of people that they come in the industry and they don't know it's a career until they kind of go through the experiences, right? So you can't really tell them to get the hell out because they're not taking a spot from somebody else. Anybody, there's the entry barrier to this industry. Anybody could get in, right? So I think
what I'm saying, Ryan, is if it's a job, right? Like I know people. Listen, if it's a job and stepping stone, I've been in the training and a lot of salespeople in my time. It's 3-6 months, they're gone because it's like, yeah, it's not really what I want. But if a salesperson is not willing to learn to actually be a top level individual, meaning really help a client, not just go in for margins and all that, you got to remember, any one of those that is just in it to see how much money they can squeeze out of a customer, or I got a truck, and at the 11th hour, I need an extra $500. When you make the phone call to that person, that's the perspective they see you as. So what I mean by that is that's a job. Like your career, what you do in your career is serve clients at the highest level. That's what you want to do. That's very important. If you're just trying to squeeze customers and just trying to make more profit and just trying to leave a wake of destruction, which we know there's a lot of people out there that do that, that's what gives us a bad name. Those are the people that I believe should not be in the industry. Because you know what? It's kind of like that used car salesman approach. That snake oil salesman that's just out to make that commission, where there's another salesman who's selling used cars who's like, listen, this is a very good quality used car and this will last you. You know what I mean? There's different levels of salespeople. And it's a salesperson, the one that I say that's a job, get the hell out of the industry, is the one that makes all of us look bad every single time he or she lands a new customer. My opinion.
Yeah,
of course.
But something, experience. How do these newbies get the experience? From their leader, right? Their leaders are supposed to help them do that. So if they don't get the experience and they leave, whose fault is it? Because they never got the chance to really understand what the job was, because the leader failed to give him that knowledge that he needed or she needed to be successful in that role. That's what it comes down to. Because if you are just coming out of college and you want to experience, a broker's job, and you fall into that seat, if there's no training, there's no follow up every day, there's no interaction, because that leader just doesn't have the time. He's got a mile high of problems that he's dealing with, and he can't spend the time with. How are you supposed to learn? It's up to the leader to train his troops. Period. End of discussion. It's not the employee's fault. It's not.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
That's true too.
Yeah, that's awesome to think about. It's like, like a new graduate or something like that. They're going into things and that's why people like Dan are so valuable, because like, hey, if they're not getting the training from their boss or anything like that, there's other resources out there. We have like Dan's training, we have like YouTube, we have all these other things, but nothing's ever going to replace making that call. Imagine like you're so scared of making phone calls that you watch so many videos of trying to make a cold call. You got all these scripts, you got all of these things, but you don't pick up the phone, you don't make the call, right? So it's like you got to do the action, right? And we always kind of do that, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What is Scott? What did Scott comment?
Scott said, I don't do business with someone I can't shake hands with, sometimes service providers. Otherwise, 1.6 million in rev. Yeah, he wanted to meet him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sight unseen, you don't know who you're dealing with. It's like reading people, reading body language, understanding the tone. We spoke about that a few weeks ago, that there's nothing better than that, to see whether or not the path chosen is going to be the right one or the wrong one, based upon, how you interact with that person. You can't do it in an email, and you surely can't do it over a phone. The best thing to do, especially if there's that type of revenue on the plate, possibly on the plate, you got to take that leap of faith, man, and go like I did and went down to Dallas. You got to do that. You just have to. Yep, take that risk, because if you don't, you're never going to know what the true answer to that is.
And you better believe your competitors are taking that trip, right? So
they're doing it.
yeah.
They're doing it. Absolutely. I'll do more of that next year for sure. Absolutely. Got it on my plan.
Beautiful.
Tag along.
All right. Off for the weekend, gents.
Absolutely. Hey, everybody have a great Veterans Day. Make sure to chisel some time out of your day to honor them. Go to a VFW hall, cemetery, whatever, families, they would appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely
11/11.
11/11, baby. So, well, thank everybody for coming out this morning. We'll definitely hit the replays back at 12 and 3 p.m. Eastern time on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Dan's on Twitter as well. And yeah, we had a great week. Looking forward to seeing everybody on Monday for Mayhem Mondays. Take care, everybody.
Have a great weekend.
Centurion Trucking, our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or Centurion Trucking and start designing